You've been hearing about it for a long time. The foe is dangerous as it is elusive. What kind of a pipeline am I talking about? It is the kind of pipeline that so many people think exists, but actually does not. The pipeline that people think some unfortunate idiots fall into or choose to swim in willingly, leading from the libertarian quadrant to the authoritarian quadrant on the right. Yes, the libertarian to alt-right pipeline is thought by many to be a reality, although it is indeed a fantasy. And what empirical evidence do you say that I have of this? I have my own lived experience, which is what empiricism is after all. For example, I have been a libertarian since infancy, ever since the time that I was a twinkle in my mother's eye and then was birthed at the year 1998. I came out of the womb and said, taxation is theft. And ever since then, everyone that has ever had their eyes come upon me has said, you are the most libertarian person that I've ever met. You are the real libertarian. I am the Libertarian Party spirit animal. I am every Rothbardian's dream. Everyone wishes that they could be me, but unfortunately they cannot, because I'm the very, very spirit of what it means to be a libertarian and a Rothbardian anarcho-capitalist libertarian at that. And my ideas are solid, they are logical, and there is no way to possibly rebut them because they are perfect. That is what libertarianism is. There is no way to refute it or rebuke it or in other ways debunk it. It is perfectly logically sound, and you cannot question it. Ever. Here's the thing. That said, it doesn't mean that I've never changed my mind on anything. I mean, of course, when you first become a libertarian, when I took my first breath as a baby, I was an open borders libertarian. Of course, Brian Kaplan, right? Brian Kaplan is the most popular libertarian to ever walk, except for myself. And he's the one that talks about how open borders is amazing. I mean, you hear it when he goes on programs like the Rubin Report and talks about how we need to have more of the poor going to the rich countries. And that the problem that the economy has is not enough workers, not enough multiculturalism, and that pretty much everything that we've ever heard regarding fighting, crime, or voting having to do with immigrants, there's no connection there at all. But then as time goes on, you see the stats, right? To me, it actually began with listening to the anarcho-capitalist libertarian philosopher Stefan Molyneux, who began by talking about people that are low IQ moving to countries and therefore lowering the IQ of the whole country in general. And that does not mean that I am part of the alt-right. In fact, that is not an alt-right talking point at all. So it does not exist. And so began with that. Then, of course, he as an anarcho-capitalist is able to defend, to wrap his head around, and so am I, the concept of building a wall and that not being an issue or a imposition on property rights. And so that's how it all began, right? But then, of course, you must read the book that everyone tells you to read, which is Democracy, the God That Failed by Hans Hermann Hoppe. But to begin with, as a libertarian, all of us think at the same time, simultaneously, but also at the same time, with all our critical thinking skills, that democracy is good, that it's great, that we have to have democracy in order to succeed and to survive. But then when you read Hans Hermann Hoppe, who really was channeling exactly what I was thinking, I just couldn't get to a computer to type it up fast enough, you find out that democracy is the God that failed, that it is actually more within libertarian principles to have a monarchy if you can't have anarchy. And so with all that said, the third thing is when you listen to the Pete Quinoa show. The Pete Quinoa show opened my eyes for the last time when he revealed that the problem having to do with government is not only that government is too big, but it's that the wrong people are in power. And that the thing that the left fears more than anything is when you take their power. So with that being said, I just wanted to make this video so that you know that 100% there is not a libertarian to alt-right pipeline. It doesn't exist, and the fact that my mind has changed about certain core elements of libertarianism that are necessary to call yourself a libertarian doesn't mean that I'm not one. So I hope this makes a lot of sense to everyone. Goodbye.